The party has found the Lonely Mountain, the Stone Tooth, and they've followed the path up to the mountain door. Hey everybody, I'm Ryan Doyle, this is the Verdigris Table, and we're talking Dungeon Master prep for the Forge of Fury out of this excellent book, Tales from the Yawning Portal. I love this one. This adventure starts at level 3, so I'm going to assume this is not your absolute first time behind the Dungeon Master screen, and that you know to read things all the way through and take notes of important names and plot points and beats, and to get your stat blocks handy, all that good stuff to get you ready to run some D&D. In the first video in this series, we talked about the big picture prep work for things to be all set up, and now we can dive into Khundrakar. First off, I love that this dungeon isn't just some hole in the ground, it's a landmark that you can see for miles. Plus there are multiple ways into this place. The mountain door is the most likely one to start, but the players might figure out one way or another that a frontal assault on this fortified location is maybe not their best approach. Players who have done their homework might remember the lore and go searching for that tunnel that the orcs dug to infiltrate this place originally. That means this adventure might actually start on level 2, so the Dungeon Master has to get their prep together right. Don't assume you can get away only prepping the first floor. No stress, don't worry though, I am here to help, and there's also a better chance that they follow the smoke to the chimney and think about going down that way. You may already know that I like my games about elves and wizards to be pretty realistic, however you want to say it, so it does make me happy that the module spells out the check to make sure you don't fall into the fire, get hurt, and alert the orcs that company has arrived through the ceiling. First up on the main approach, we've got 2 orc sentries, and as usual, they aren't doing a particularly good job keeping watch, and they're conveniently complaining about their boss by name. At least they're speaking in Orcish, right? The PCs might get the drop on these 2, but if they survive long enough to take an action, they're going to sound the alarm and the mountain door defenses kick in. This block here is where this first level really shines for me. We get a step-by-step, round-by-round guide to what happens with all of the orcs in here if they know that they're under attack. Make sure that the players are getting the signal loud and clear that they're about to have a big battle on their hands. One of these sentries blows a horn, and another horn answers from inside before arrows start firing through the slits that they may or may not have noticed. I actually put a war drum on the far side of the rope bridge, and when that thing started beating, my players realized what was up. Bonus points if you can grab a soundtrack to match. The PCs have 3, maybe 4 rounds to get inside before the doors are closed and barred against them. In the meantime, these militant orcs are scrambling to their battle stations, so it might not be the worst thing if our heroes don't quite make it inside in time to fight this whole place at the same time. Arrows raining down on them from 4 and 4A will probably drive them back down the mountain if they don't get inside, in which case they might go find that chimney or even sneak into the Glitterhame. If they go in through the chimney, don't be afraid to sound the alarm and trigger the waves of enemies again if that's how it would happen. Some of the orcs might be confused in that scenario and go running to the front, but you might end up with a big fight on your hands in 5 or 8 with enemies coming in from all sides. Again, signal that this is going to be a war, so they don't blow all of their abilities like they're about to take a long rest right before the shaman and a freaking ogre show up. Do your best to leave an escape route open, but at the same time, if they take it and then go take a nap right outside, as if the orcs wouldn't come out and patrol eventually, well, the party might be in for a nasty surprise. Whether they do make it inside the front door by stealth or by speed, or if they find their way here after coming through a different entrance, This rope bridge over the chasm in 3 is a great feature that could lead to an epic moment wherein you shall not pass territory here. Whether somebody falls trying to cross it or because it was cut out from under them, I would keep this at least the 2 save proposition it is as written. Maybe there's opportunity for another character to assist, right? Or roll a check to intervene as well. This might be a 3 strike situation because falling down almost definitely means that you're out. That's all if it's a player character, of course. Definitely throw a bunch of orcs down there, for sure. The bridge getting destroyed could also cut off the obvious route forward or prevent the archers in 4 from following the party deeper in. Great design element. Steal it and use it elsewhere. We talked about it a little bit in the last video, but one option to consider, and I know it might not seem that important when you were collecting every d6 at the table to roll some falling damage, but I like having room 16 or 17 in the Glitterhaim down below the chasm here at 3, instead of it just being an off-screen watery doom, because 1, that tees up a moment discovering and probably looting the body of our fallen hero and maybe giving them a proper funeral, but 2, someone could cast Featherfall or tie a bunch of ropes together and get a really awesome roll or something, and now things get much more interesting. Gondalf did come back after all, it just took a while. Anything can happen in D&D. Now, whether they're fighting this place all at once in a big battle or clearing it out room by room, there's a lot of orcs in here. The adventure does do a pretty good job of making them feel distinct, but that's the kind of thing that can go right out the window when you're running a ton of enemies. So let's pay attention to those things that make them different, so these things stay interesting for you and for the players. It also makes things easier to run when you're trying to track HP or remember like who is in which room. This is a good thing to do whenever you have a lot of the same type of monster, and there are several ways to do it. You can add little details for flavor, right? This one has a scar, this one has a funny hat, this one has a big gap-toothed smile. There are plenty of roll tables of details like that out there, and it's useful for NPCs and for social encounters too. For combat, you can go and tinker with the mechanical side of things as well. This guy looks scrawny. He's not getting the damage modifier. This one is swole, however, and he has max HP. I don't do that as much, especially in like big battles, because it's more effort and more to keep track of, but it's always good to have options and change it up over time. As written, the adventure does a couple things to make these groups distinct. You've got weapons and tactics, right? The orcs in 4 are using longbows, while the orcs at 3 are hurling javelins, and then the rest presumably are aggressively, swinging away with great axes. The squad in 11 has the tactic of pairing off and trying to use shove attacks to grant advantage to their partner, right? Less optimal, maybe, but who cares? I bet it feels way more threatening to the player who got knocked prone. Another great way to keep a bunch of the same monsters from getting boring is to throw in a different type. In 14, we get an Orog in with the orcs, right? Old Yarok is smart. He's got treasure stashed away, he's got a healing potion, and the party's gonna freak out when he drinks it. He's got the key to the jail cell. He's a strategic thinker. As written, that means he's going where he's needed and trying to gain the advantage of numbers if he can, but consider what else this group led by an extra intelligent orc might be doing to make them different. Maybe he's calling out commands and they stop targeting the tankiest character and move and attack the glass cannons. We also get the Eye of Grumsh in 9, who notably isn't part of the waves spelled out in the defensive plan block, presumably because she could shift this tide significantly. We get what she does round by round, which is great. It's a little rare that modules do that, and there's arguments for and against it, but do that for yourself in prep instead of trying to study a spell list while there's a ton of other things going on at the table. You can always change it, but prep your caster's spells and especially think about what they might cast before battle breaks out and in round 1. If our Eye of Grumsh knows trouble is coming, that Bless she casts may be up already when the party enters the room. The wizard in your party isn't usually waiting for initiative to cast mage armor, right? It just makes sense. All right, in 12, we get the Great Ulfe himself, Ulfe. I don't know, typical big, dumb boss energy, speaking in the third person, has a couple pets with him. Cliches are popular for a reason, and sometimes you just gotta give the people what they want. Now, this is a tough fight, even if it's just him and his dire wolves, considering he's swinging for 2d12 plus 4 damage. Write that down, and don't forget about that fact. Even more deadly if he's joining in with some of the orcs, right? Or especially if he's charging in 12 rounds into the great battle of the mountain door, with the players seeing abilities with a 1-minute duration expire, maybe for the first time in their D&D careers. The characters might be in real trouble, and you should let them know that. Here comes an ogre. It might feel like enough, right? Particularly if you're hours into running an epic combat and feel like the galaxy brain meme, but get descriptive with how big and bad this guy looks. The +1 rapier that he has, but wouldn't ever deign to use, I like that detail. I think that should be a Durganon blade, don't you? Maybe it's implied, but like drive that home. Hey, there might be some other awesome stuff in here if we keep going. On top of that cast of characters, there are a couple traps in the mix as well. Unlike the ones we were getting in the Sunless Citadel, these do a good job of advertising themselves. Here's a few charred skeletons in front of this door. What do you think that means? It is way more fun to devise a clever way to solve a trap than it is to take 2d4 fire damage. And they're not mutually exclusive. Someone might roll poorly or have a bad idea and get lit on fire. Or in the middle of attempting to figure things out, the characters make enough noise to alert these sturges and somebody takes a false step in battle. Another detail here that I really like, there's actually a reward beyond not getting hurt for solving this trap as well. A clever character can take this thing apart and use it to craft alchemist's fire, and that's cool. Try to think about adding layers of interaction and how you might take things one step further whenever you're designing stuff. Quick note on the other trapped statue. On the map, it sure looks like the pressure plate is directly in front of the door to the Orog and Company, instead of a square or two further up the hallway as written. It looks like it's actually a holdover from the 3E module where that whole section of hallway is marked. Maybe it's a minor detail, but I think the secret door into 4 would have been discovered, especially by the Orog, if that statue was spitting poisoned gas anytime someone came or went from the bunk room. The other thing I want to highlight here is the prison area in room 6. As written, we get a little tempo change, right, with non-hostile NPCs in this hostile place. And that's a nice addition to any dungeon. It also creates a potential problem for the players to solve. Do they escort these folks to safety or send them on their way? That's extra interesting if that rope bridge got cut, isn't it? Now we have an escort mission on our hands with some complications. Or maybe they just leave them here because the heroes are the true monsters. This is also a chance to drop a little history about this place if you like or need to, but check out the development section. Characters who get captured, right, and read that as killed by the orcs might end up here later as well. I have never seen a player character willingly surrender, but it is totally reasonable to expect these orcs to knock out a player character because they want to ransom them back to the party and make some gold. That's part of their whole business model. This is kind of a pressure release valve, so you don't have to fear going hard when the whole level is attacking the party at the same time. It's also a handy trick to just have up your sleeve. It's worth remembering for later. Whenever a character falls, this may be an option that can lead to some really interesting game challenges and story moments. You don't want to cheat death too often, especially if it feels forced or unearned, but in the right circumstances, this is a great tool to have in your Dungeon Master toolbox. For your sake, I hope you do get to run this place with the whole area on high alert and the drums sounding, the party cutting through waves of enemies as they just barely make it across the rope bridge, and that the Mountain Door experience is an all-out war that everyone will remember for a long time. If it goes a different way and is a more like standard dungeon crawl, that's okay too. That actually means that the players did well, so celebrate it. and take the lessons here and draw up a battle plan the next time you're prepping for intelligent humanoids defending their home. However they manage to get through this first level, or if they found the old tunnel at sea and simply start there, the party will be heading for the atmospheric Glitterheim. And that's what we'll be talking about in the next video in this series. Subscribe if you haven't yet to make sure you don't miss it. Until then, get out there, have fun, be kind to yourself, be kind to each other, and I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.